Hey, I'm Ollie, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how I screwed up and ended up looking an absolute tit on my most recent hike down on the South Cornish coast path. So, for those of you who are not aware, 4 years ago I hiked the first 150 miles of the Cornish coast path from Bude all the way down to Mousehole, taking 14 days to do it, doing 10 miles a day, and my pack was weighing around 30 to 36 kilograms. And I managed to do it without too much difficulty. With all this in mind, I foolishly figured it would be a breeze to set off again from Penzance and attempt to do the next 150 miles in 10 days, putting in 15 miles a day. Something I probably should have done more training for. My first big mistake was before I'd even set off, whilst I managed to carry an extra 10 kilograms on the northern coast 4 years ago, I neglected to account for the fact that I'd been putting in a lot more miles back then. My body was ultimately more used to walking this sort of terrain with much more weight. 15 miles a day without the training and a pack that could have been a lot lighter was definitely my first and biggest mistake. I should have put in more training and gotten used to the weight that I was going to be carrying. My second mistake came the day of the hike. The weather was absolutely horrendous, yellow weather warnings for rain and wind. I should have bitten the bullet and postponed the trip then and there, but I told myself, it's alright, I've hiked in worse conditions, I'm sure I'll be fine. I then proceeded to hike through what was essentially a river the whole way as my pack gathered more weight from the rain, my feet were getting soaked, it was just not ideal. Then that night my third mistake reared its ugly head, and that was that I rushed to set up my tent. It was cold and wet, and after 15 miles with no training, I was shattered. I just wanted to be in the dry, and during the night, because I'd rushed it, one of those pegs came loose and I had to go back out in the rain in my dry clothes and repitch it. The next mistake I made came pretty early on in day 2. I noticed that my knees were really hurting, and rather than slowing down, adjusting the miles, or listening to my body, I carried on at what is fair to say was a stupid speed. My last mistake was essentially not learning from my previous ones. I didn't lighten my pack, I didn't slow down, I didn't think about postponing or lengthening the trip, and this ultimately led to me arriving where I planned to camp that night in the dark. It was then that I found that it wasn't suitable to camp there, and that I'd have to track back in the dark and find anywhere to make do for a camp. The next morning, I booked into a hotel, just 2 miles from my camp in the hopes of recovering, but ultimately, I woke up and found that I just had to call the trip. Now, with all this being said, I still had a lovely time on the path. I met some brilliant people and got to sleep in some beautiful places. I got to stop and admire some of the best views that this county has to offer, and I absolutely do not regret going. But next time, I'm definitely going to be better prepared. I actually did end up going to Scotland shortly after for a hiking trip, and learning from all these mistakes made it a much more enjoyable and memorable trip for me. So that's how I managed to make just about every mistake possible on my recent South Cornish coast path hike. I hope that watching this helps prevent others from making similar mistakes, or at least makes those of you who know better laugh at my foolishness. If you want to see how I get on with my second attempt of this section, I am going to be doing it come September, and I'll be putting the video up when I do. I'll put a link somewhere on the screen when I do get round to doing it. Thank you so much for watching, and take it easy.